Hi, I'm Skyler Miser, the Ringling Rocket, and today we are trying on iconic historical Ringling costumes. So this costume was actually my mom's. Her and my dad were doing the double cannon on Ringling in 2007 during the 137th edition called Bellobration on Ringling. They actually had this cape tucked up, so the audience didn't know that there was a cape until they were flying out of the cannon and the cape just appeared. So I have never flown with a cape, and typically you don't want it to be too heavy because it can alter your flight. So this costume was worn by Tina Gable, and this was used on the 121st edition of Ringling, which premiered in 1991. Tina's father was actually Gunther Gable Williams, who was a very famous tiger trainer in the time, and her son I had worked with on past Ringling shows and also for the rebirth of Ringling. So the back of the costume is actually quilted because they wore this costume while riding the elephants. This fabric is jumbo spandex, and all of the rhinestones are actually colored, which you don't see very often anymore. And the costume is very, very heavy because of the rhinestones. This was my mom's costume, Tina Miser, that she wore on the 139th edition Zing Zang Zoom that premiered in 2009. So this show was actually a big inspiration on why I wanted to become the Rocket. I remember sitting in the seats watching my mom wear this exact costume, and I feel very, very lucky that I'm able to wear it today. So this costume is actually very, very similar to the costume that I wore on Ringling. We typically like to wear a full body costume. My parents had previously worn tights underneath, but this was one of the first costumes that was a full body costume like mine. So the inside of the cannon is metal, so we have to make sure that we are protected, and we also have to protect the costume. So that's why we have long sleeves, and we also wear gloves inside. So I was 5 years old at the time of this show, and this was my last show that I was touring with Ringling because my mom and I ended up going back home, and my dad stayed on Ringling and did a couple more tours. This iconic costume was from the 128th edition, the Sideshow Circus, which premiered in 1998. The girls in the show would wear these for the opening number of the show. So all of the gold fabric on this costume was actually hand painted, and then they put heat set sequins on top of it. And here, there's actually metal nail heads. So our senior director of costumes, Donna Oak, this is actually her first circus that she ever did when she was an associate designer. This iconic costume is from the 136th edition Circus of Dreams that premiered in 2006. So when you lift the dress up, it actually spells out circus. And this costume was worn by the circus songstress. So the sash is actually a separate piece from the dress itself, and the corset is also separate from the skirt. And because the dress opens on the sides, they actually have pants that they wear underneath. This costume was used in the opening number of the show. So there are actually 3 units of Ringling, and me and my family were always on the red unit, but this costume was on the blue unit. So I never actually got to see this show. So this costume is from the 143rd edition, Built to Amaze, that premiered in 2013. This costume really is amazing. So this was worn by the dancers for the elephant dance party. The costume ombres from orange and gold down to fuchsia and purple. Everything that you see on this costume was hand done, down to all of the embellishments and also the stones. Everything was added to reflect the lights, so that way it seemed really, really bright and shiny to the audience. I remember seeing the girls wearing this costume, and I always thought the costume was so beautiful, so to be able to be wearing it right now is really incredible.